Ayres.
Madam Acting Deputy President, what an innovating experience it is, really, listening to Senator Rennick. A sort of out-of-body experience, really. And there are the team, the thought leaders over there. I won't include Senator Scarr in this because he's far too sensible. But on superannuation, Rennick and Bragg, the thought leaders of the Conservative show. I'll have a little bit to say about Senator Bragg in a moment, but when you listen to a sort of stream of consciousness word salad about little red books, Big Brother, bankers, Marxists, command and control, it feels like I'm at a sort of QAnon cell meeting, really, not the Australian Senate, not where the adults, engage in this stuff. This sort of claims about the Constitution. Next thing we'll be hearing about sovereign citizens. It's not really clear to me what Senator Rennick opposes in terms of industry super funds. Does he impose the big returns? Does he oppose the low fees? It's unclear to me. The super system was built by Australians working together, employers, unions, built the compulsory superannuation scheme. Millions of Australians who otherwise would have been impoverished in their retirement, living a decent, secure retirement that only their parents could have dreamt of. Now, the role of super in the stimulus response is worth examination. It is worth, you would think, some deep reflection on that side of the Senate. What's really happened is the government has robbed future retirees of their savings in order to do the work that the government should have done. So many people, they've filled the gap in the government's failures with the retirement savings that people will be impoverished in the future. Now, if the Morrison government is presented with a pathway, you can always bet on this. If they're presented with a pathway that's easy, if they're presented with a pathway that hurts the people they imagine to be their ideological opponents, if they're presented with a pathway that helps their big business mates, and if they're presented with a pathway that leaves ordinary Australians out, you can bet they'll always take it, and they have. And they have. Now, there are some big economic issues in front of the parliament this year. And this government was dragged, kicking and screaming, to reach the conclusion that there should be a wage subsidy package out there in the JobKeeper package. I remember watching the bloke who represents the Prime Minister in here, Senator Cormann, bitterly opposing a wage subsidy package. Because what Mr Frydenberg said a few weeks ago is true. The cold, desiccated spirit of Maggie Thatcher and Ronald Reagan still animates these characters over here today. And beyond that, with the delivery of this JobKeeper program, complex administratively, leaving millions of Australians out, a plan for a snapback which is now turned to a taper off, they have no plan for jobs beyond the taper off. Now,
Order.
The super system, our retirement income savings scheme, that is the envy of the modern world, should be a source of strength during our economy's troubles. It should be a source of revenue and not revenue, but investment and capability. It should support.
Order.
What I was going to say is
Order.
It should replace. It should be there delivering
Senator Ayres,
investment.
resume your seat. Thank you. Interjections are disorderly. Thank you very much. Senator Ayres, please resume.
It should be a source of strength, but these guys can't wait to wreck it. And their MO, from the Minister to Senators Bragg and Rennick, the thought leaders over there, is to attack it and then retreat and say, oh, we're just trying to help. We're just trying to help. Now, if it was up to the Liberals, super wouldn't exist for most Australians. It would be the preserve of the very wealthy. It would be the preserve of the elite. It would be the preserve of big business. They opposed its formation.
Order.
They opposed every single increase in the superannuation guarantee, in the contribution rate. The early release scheme, see what happened over here when the pandemic hit and the economy was faced with the prospect of millions of people losing their jobs. Most Australians saw a crisis. These guys saw an opportunity. Most Australians reacted in horror to the prospect of losing jobs. Most Australians reacted in horror to the loss of gross national product. But these guys saw an opportunity. JobKeeper, $35 billion so far has been spent. In the early access scheme, almost $32 billion has been stripped out of low-income Australian super funds. Ordinary, low-income, low-balance account holders, 600,000, have emptied their accounts entirely.
Order.
Now that's because they knew, I don't begrudge any of them, the criticism is of you lot, because those individuals knew they couldn't rely on Scott Morrison. They had to go to their own low balance accounts and strip it out because they knew casual workers, low-income workers, women, they couldn't rely on this government. 25-year-olds will be $80,000 to $100,000 worse off because of your policy framework, because you couldn't deliver, because the government couldn't deliver.
Order, please.
And ultimately—
Order. Senator Ayres, please take your seat. Interjections are always disorderly. And Senator Ayres, could you please direct your comments to the chair? Please resume.
Ultimately, it's become a honeypot for organised crime. Overseas organised crime interests have gone straight to your scheme.
Senator
and
Ayres,
are robbing ordinary Australians,
please,
Madam Acting
Senator
Deputy
Ayres,
President, robbing ordinary
Senator
Australians.
Ayres, take your seat. You need to direct your comments through the chair. Senator Ayres, please resume.
Madam Acting Deputy President, they are now laying the groundwork for the failure to deliver on their legislated increases in the superannuation guarantee. Well, that would represent a real wage cut, a cut for most Australians. This idea that there is some contest between wages and superannuation is the silliest proposition, the most transparently silly proposition. It's not real. For most people, their wage increases are set out for them in the award system. Their wage increases are set out for them for the next 12 months. For people who are in collective agreements, their collective agreement outcomes are set out for them. Now, in a period of record low wage growth over the last 3 years, Madam Acting Deputy President, record low wage growth presided over what passes for the economic team over here. The idea that you would also cut out people's hope of a decent retirement position should horrify most Australians. See, deep in what passes for what Senator Rennick called philosophical convictions, what passes for it in his mind is a deep conviction of hostility to ordinary Australians doing better for themselves than what the government allows. They are for cold charity and the government determining who gets up. We are for Australians working together to do better. Now, I have been horrified by what Senator Bragg has had to say about this, the self-styled expert over there on industry superannuation. He said just 6 days ago in a tweet, which is his preferred mode of communication beyond books with the Australian people. He said, Madam Acting Deputy President, he said, Keating told the 1992 ACTU Congress, in quotation marks, so he's indicating that the former Prime Minister said this, "You are losing your industrial muscle. I have given you the opportunity to take on financial muscle. You will get that through your super funds," end quote. Except that Paul Keating never said that. He never said that. And there was no ACTU Congress in 1992. You said, Senator Bragg said, Madam Acting Deputy President, he said that Paul Keating said that at a 1992 ACTU Congress, but he didn't. Now, when one tells a lie, it needs details to be credible, but it's also really important that the details aren't so easily verifiable, because the important thing about telling a lie is that people don't figure you out so quickly. Now, Senator Bragg has a history of making wild, it's hard to say wild in the presence of Senator Rennick, wild, untrue claims to further his argument. I'm not sure whether it's attention-seeking behaviour or because I'm not talking about you, Senator Rennick. I'm not sure whether it's attention-seeking behaviour, Madam Acting Deputy President. I'm not sure whether it's because the ideas themselves are running out of puff or whether it's just compulsive. In his book, we'll come to the bestseller. I'll take that interjection. It's a bestseller in sort of pulping operations all over the country. In his book, yes.
Order.
He said,
Order.
He said, Madam Acting Deputy President, make no mistake, industry super funds are on track to be the biggest political donors in Australia. They will be bigger than the CFMEU and co. Except it's just not true. It's not remotely true. It never has been true. It never will be true. He knows that he makes the claim because it sounds scandalous. Well, the truth is, if you review the AEC records, and the super industry organisations have done this, it records $25,000 worth of donations, as far as records go back. Now, the super industry bodies wrote to Senator Bragg and told him all about this in a completely verifiable way, but he's chosen to ignore it. Now, just for scale or perspective, that's about 0.03% of what Clive Palmer spent supporting your re-election bid last year. Just for perspective, it's less than Senator Rennick donated to the LNP immediately prior to his pre-selection. But indeed, Senator Bragg—
Senator Ayres, take your seat. Senator Ayres, take your seat. Hang on, I'm coming to you, Senator Rennick. Senator Rennick, on the point of order.
That is a personal slur that indicates corruption, and I totally reject that, and I want that remark withdrawn now.
I'll give you an opportunity to withdraw the remark.
There isn't the faintest hope of me withdrawing it, Madam Acting Deputy President.
On the point of order, Senator
It is,
Scarr.
Acting Deputy President. There was a clear imputation in Senator Ayres' comments that there was a connection between Senator Rennick making a substantial donation to the LNP prior to his pre-selection and his successful pre-selection. There was a clear imputation, and I think it would be courteous to the chamber for Senator Ayres to withdraw at least confirm that that imputation was not intended.
Senator Ayres, there was, in my view, a clear connection in your statement between Senator Rennick, please allow me to finish. a clear connection that you were drawing between his selection and his donations, I invite you to either clarify what you had to say or withdraw it. Senator Ayres.
So, Madam Acting Deputy President, the imputation only exists in the minds of Senator Rennick and Senator Scarr and yourself. I'm very happy to confirm that
Senator
imputation
Ayres,
wasn't
Senator
my
Ayres,
intention.
I'm giving you an opportunity
You just did?
to be. That is not a.
The imputation does not exist in what I said, and I think a review of the Hansard would make that very clear.
I'm giving you an opportunity to clarify what you did intend, and in doing so, give you the opportunity to move on.
Make it absolutely clear that the contribution that Senator Rennick made was at the time that it was made. That I make no imputation beyond that. Some others opposite have drawn that imputation. It's a matter entirely for them.
Senator Ayres, I'm going to give you the opportunity to move on. Parliamentary privilege is just that, a privilege not to be abused.
Does Senator Bragg continue to say the things that he says? Why does he continue to say things that are demonstrably not true? Why is he so committed to the path that he's embarked upon of deliberately saying things that are not true about industry superannuation and distorting the facts? Last week, he claimed that contributions to super have been lifting house prices. I imagine he'll shortly be saying that they cause climate change or are responsible for the Broncos' performance this year. Senator Rennick and Senator Scarr might take some comfort in that. He might say that that it's responsible for the drought. Every claim that he makes shouldn't be taken seriously in this debate because he resorts so easily to making assertions that are not true. Ultimately, one loses credibility if one keeps making wild and extravagant claims, something that you, Senator Rennick, might pay some attention to. Let's make this debate about the interests of ordinary Australians, not the ideological predilections of the far recesses of the Queensland LNP. Thanks, Madam Acting Deputy President.